Okay, we are live right now. Whenever you're ready, just kind of give them another couple minutes, but it kind of in.
Okay, Mr. Williams, are we ready to go? Yes? Okay, good evening. Brian O'Hara, Superintendent of our amazing Girard City Schools, here on December 7th. I want to thank those of you that are able to meet with us this evening. This town hall meeting will be available after we film it and broadcast
I
it.
don't know if you guys can hear me now.
We can.
We are live, so just for people.
Okay. All right, thank you, Jamie. That's, again, Mr. Jamie Williams, who helps us with our broadcasting here and streaming through the YouTube video. So thanks for your support. And again, welcome to all the families. I hope all are well and safe, still during these very trying times. So that being said, I want to welcome our guests again, our panel, Dr. Gratz from Prospect Elementary, Mrs. Ware, our Girard Intermediate School principal, Mrs. Santangelo, junior high principal, Mr. Cardera, assistant GHS principal, Mr. Caputo, GHS lead principal, and then Mrs. Crumpack is with us, helping out with our questions to keep those organized throughout our presentation here this evening. And I think I have covered all of the panels that are on the panel this evening. Jamie, everybody's kind of familiar with how to ask the question then if they want to ask a question during this time. Mr. Williams?
Yeah, if you have any questions, just post it in the box to the right of the video.
Okay. All right, thank you. And I also want to special guest this evening, Mrs. Kelly Warga, who will be helping us out with our kind of our social emotional and mental health supports that we have during this time, just to emphasize that those are available for us. So that being said, our goals for this evening, again, we will first address some resources from Mrs. Warga here that we have available through our website and through our school district. Talk a little bit about the synchronous and asynchronous platforms of teaching and learning during this remote time. And then each building will go over some revisions and some more revisions related to updates that are happening in the building. So at this time, Mrs. Warga, it's all yours.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. We realize that there's a lot going on in everyone's lives right now. We know that it's a very busy time of year, even though it's a different year. So we appreciate you guys tuning in so that we can talk through a few of the things that we were hoping to touch base with you about tonight. So one of the first things that we would like to do is let you know that we do have a new mental health staff website. And on that website, which our next slide here, we have a link to our website. Thank you so much. We felt it necessary to go ahead and create this website to help somewhat streamline the process of how you can find someone if you need them. If you see on this website, we list all of our mental health staff. I might be a little bit biased, but I would like to say that we are very blessed in Girard to have an outstanding mental health staff. We are lucky to have counselors in every building. We also have school psychologists in every building, and we also have a wonderful school psych intern this year. So you will see on the website that everyone is listed with their building. There are direct links to be able to email any of the counselors or psychologists, as well as most of them have a place where you can request an appointment or schedule an appointment right there on the website. Those direct links will take you to everything that you need. If we scroll down just a little bit further, there's a few resources that we've placed on there. And as the year progresses, we will put more on there. What you may notice is if you click on any of our websites, which we won't do tonight, we have a lot more. Oh, goodness. Okay.
That's okay. We'll get that access there. Thank
Okay.
you.
We have a lot more resources available on our websites, but those are very specific to the grade levels and the age of the kids that are on, under each of our rosters. So we have included a resource that we just received today from the Trumbull County Mental Health Board on coping with holidays in a pandemic. It's a wonderful resource. Thank you to whoever put it together, but it has a really great explanation of some of the things that you guys can do as we try to cope with the holidays and all of the changes that all of us are going to be seeing. It's very important to understand that right now, the holidays always bring about some additional mental health issues, but right now, more so than ever, I know even for myself, I can speak of that. I'm not going to get to spend time with some of the people that I really want to spend time with this year. So that is a great resource. The next link below is Confident Parents and Confident Kids. Our mental health staff spend a great deal of time trying to find some good resources for you as parents, because we know that you are taking on a tremendous amount of the burden by being home with your students and trying to help them navigate this process that's brand new to everyone. And the Confident Parents, Confident Kids has some amazing resources for you. Yeah, you should be able to link there. Hopefully that'll come up. There we go.
Sure.
This has just so much information, and we have looked through it at length and feel very strongly that this is a website that we as a team can support. We feel as though it gives very good information and good guidance on how to appropriately build some relationships in the midst of this process where relationships are becoming more and more difficult when you, as the parent, are having to be the person to deal with a lot of this at home without having the same level of interaction with the teachers and staff at the school. So please definitely reflect back on this resource. It's a wonderful resource. The other resources on this page are a link to the Trumbull County mental health agencies. That's critical for everyone right now. I speak to parents every single day who are asking, how can I get my child mental health services? And a lot of places are getting very full. So this gives a pretty significant list of resources in our area. If for some reason you reach out to the resources on this area and you are not able to find help and you still are needing more resources, please reach out to your building mental health staff representative, and they will do everything they can to help connect you with any agencies that you might need. Let's see. We have some more links there for supporting social emotional learning in home. And then the Signs of Suicide Parent Portal is not super important right now. That's something that we have on there because that's something that we'll be doing at our high school a little bit later in the year. We also included at the very bottom of the page our social emotional themes that we do with our students each month. Those are done through classwork and through additional supports that our mental health staff provides. Basically, we just want to let you know that we're here and we are here for you. We want to be sure that we can provide any services that you need. please don't be afraid to ask for help. Sometimes we worry that mental health has a little bit of a stigma associated with it. And we really want to take away that stigma. We want to let you know that, everyone has mental health. It's a matter of how well you take care of your mental health. Mental health is not something that it should have a negative connotation with it. Every single person has mental health. We just need to make sure that we're taking care of it. And so then the final thing, Mr. O'Hara, would be our last slide. And that is just that since we are not always available to you, please understand that if you are in crisis or you have someone who is in crisis, you can utilize the crisis text hotline. That's 741-741 number. Outside of school hours, contacting a counselor, they may not check their email in the evening or see their email in the evening. So please make sure that if you or someone you know is experiencing a crisis, you can contact the crisis text hotline, and they are very helpful. We care about you guys. We miss our students tremendously, and please encourage our students to reach out if they need anything. Zoom with us. We reach out with students in Zoom all the time. So, and we love seeing their faces. Yeah, if you want to click on one of the links just to show that some of them have, if you click on a request appointment link, it'll go to a Google form for, I believe, Mrs. Annarella. Perfect. So you just fill out that form and it goes directly to her. If you go back to my link is a little bit different. Let's see. Yeah, my link is a little bit different. Mine, you don't actually request an appointment. You actually go ahead and schedule your appointment. So you can tell me what you want to schedule an appointment for. And you see there, I have social emotional concerns, but I also have lots of other things. Done a lot of college and career planning with students. It's a good time for them to do that with me. So you would just click on a date and you would go ahead and schedule your appointment. It only lists the times that I'm available. So you don't have to worry about, any conflict on my part. The email links go directly to our counselors and we receive those. And then our websites, if you wanted to click on any of those, Mr. O'Hara, you can click on, Mrs. Candell has a website with her school psychology information on it. Mrs. Baker's website is nice and fun. She has a great one. She and Oscar do a great job. There we go. She's got all kinds of resources on there. So we are here for you, and we just want to make sure that you know that we're happy to be part of this team, and we want to do everything we can to make sure that our students and our families have a wonderful holiday and a wonderful school year, and we do the best we can. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Morgan, number one, for all that you do for our school system. And I know you came on board here with this a little bit of notice over the last few hours. So I appreciate your organization here and the sharing of the resources that we do have available. And I want to echo how fortunate we are to have the staff that we do have here at the Girard City Schools in terms of school counseling and school psychology. And our heart goes out to our families, and during this time of added stress, with curriculum in the home, along with other social economic factors that we have to deal with during this time. So the whole entire staff of the counselors in psychology are recognized and appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for letting us jump on today.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, moving along here then, really the meat of our presentation here today is to talk and share about the revisions that are being made to the delivery of our instruction. There's two terms that I would like to introduce to you, synchronous and asynchronous. These terms kind of came to the surface across all educational levels, pre-K through college, really, when the pandemic surfaced almost 10 months ago. And some of the characteristics related to synchronous teaching and learning would mean live at the same time. When we were in a traditional setting of face-to-face, that was synchronous learning. There's live communication. It's a little less flexible because it's kind of tied into a time slot or a certain scheduled time, and because it does meet at pre-scheduled times. Then asynchronous, on the other side of the coin there, students have the ability to work a little bit more at their own speed. It may reference a little bit to our week at a glance. It kind of sets the tone a little bit for asynchronous, so, although it has both components of synchronous and asynchronous in that week at a glance. Communication happens a little bit more through email and not live communication, but it does happen when it's convenient. There is freedom for flexibility in terms of when you are able to get to the content and curriculum. I do want to emphasize that the curriculum and expectations are the same depending on which platform, but it's the same for both platforms there. And then again, you can work beyond scheduled times. And I want to just show you a brief video here that kind of illustrates some of the components of synchronous and asynchronous learning, and a little emphasis on the communication tools. It has a little sense of a global touch to it, but it hits home in terms of what we have to deal with here in decision making for our instruction over the past 10 months. Let's see if we're going to be okay with the video. Okay, sound okay?
We live in an era of constant digital communication. With the tap of a button, we can share insights and collaborate with people all over the world. But there's a cost. We can easily get distracted and lose our focus. This is why quality communication requires intentionality. And it helps to think about the distinction between synchronous and asynchronous communication tools. Synchronous communication happens in real time, in the moment. By contrast, asynchronous communication can happen over a longer period of time. Synchronous communication might be a video conference, a live chat, or a phone call. Asynchronous communication might be a pre-recorded video, an audio message, or an email. Both synchronous and asynchronous communication have their distinct advantages and disadvantages. Synchronous communication is faster and more dynamic. It's great for active participation and interactive discussions. It tends to work well with smaller groups, but it can lead to frequent interruptions and distractions that get in the way of deep work. With asynchronous communication, there's no need to schedule, which means you can go at your own pace with fewer disruptions. Asynchronous communication works well when the internet connection is unstable or when participants are in different time zones. It also tends to allow for a permanent record of your communication. However, asynchronous communication doesn't work well when you need to address issues in the moment, and it can feel less interactive. Some communication platforms blend together synchronous and asynchronous components. A walkie-talkie app lets you communicate in the moment, but listen later and even adjust the speed. A shared document has real-time edits, but the comments are asynchronous and there is a permanent record of all annotations. Video chats can occur in real time, but then recorded for replay later on. This can help increase accessibility. Meanwhile, social media platforms often blend together live and recorded videos, chats, and updates. Both synchronous and asynchronous communication are necessary for collaborative work. This is why teams should think strategically about when to use both types of communication as they plan for collaborative projects. And educators should be intentional about how they use both approaches to improve student collaboration as well.
I think the video just does a nice job of kind of, illustrating the advantages and disadvantages of both platforms, and how do we blend both of those approaches to our teaching and learning. If I reflect back to the spring of 2020, we were probably as a district 90% asynchronous, with the majority of that being a paper and pencil drop off and pickup. due to some technology resources that we were short on for students and staff, and the experience of professional learning that needed to be given and applied. So as we moved into September of 2020, we did have many hours of professional learning for our staff, probably close to 15 hours since May, in terms of moving more towards our digital curriculum. We failed forward with the staff administration, their courage and persistence without having a crystal ball. But we've pretty much eliminated any paper and pencil curriculum, and we have closed the digital divide on our tech resources for our students and our staffs. So again, working collaboratively over the last few months, we have intentionally had many discussions and piloted some resources on how do we move more from our solid Google Class foundation, which probably leans more towards the asynchronous components, to blend it more with the synchronous resources. So that being said, at this time, each building is going to share out a little bit about their revisions that are taking place this week, and actually started last week in terms of blending of these two delivery platforms for instruction. So first up, we have Dr. Gratz from Prospect.
Good evening, Girard parents. We are very excited at Prospect Elementary today with our asynchronous environment that we were using and utilizing with the students. We have now transitioned to add a blended synchronous environment. So we are conducting synchronous instructional Zoom meetings daily at Prospect Elementary. And the reason for the transition was twofold. Number one, it gives the students an opportunity to have some instruction clarified with the teacher as the instruction is occurring. And the second reason was because it is to solidify the connection between the teacher and the children. So for those two reasons, we added this synchronous component. The times that we have daily for our synchronous by grade level is what's listed below. Our kindergarten is daily from 9 to 9:45, first grade from 11 to 11:45. Our second grade is from 10 to 11, and our third grade is 1 to 1:30 for math and 1:30 for 2 for ELA. The synchronous Zoom lessons are going to be recorded and they will be uploaded to the Google Classroom. If for some reason your child cannot attend a scheduled Zoom meeting on a given day, they can access the information in the Google Classroom that was presented at that time. I want to thank the parents immensely because they worked very hard to provide the guidelines that we set down for it to be a very effective, synchronous, instructional learning environment. And today the teachers were so excited about what occurred. I want to also thank my teachers. They worked very hard to prepare good lessons and strong lessons with a lot of time put into them, so they're engaging. So again, today was the first day and it went off very well. So thank you to both parties. If we go to the next screen, you'll see we have some scheduled pickups. Now today was the scheduled pickup for the virtual literacy school-wide title workshop that we're having on December 9th. You had to reserve a spot for the workshop, but I'm so excited to inform you that we have a lot of participants in the workshop. The teachers from K through 8 have worked hard to provide many different links that you will find very engaging for the students. And you had to pick up a packet of materials that you're going to be utilizing on that evening of December 9th. If for some reason you did not get to the school today to pick that up, you can come tomorrow on the 8th, or you can come on the 9th between the hours of 8 and 3 to pick up the resource package for any 3 of the buildings. All of them are going to be at Prospect Elementary School, but you will be in for a very delightful evening. I will promise you that. We also have on Thursday, December 10th, a pickup of resources for grade levels kindergarten, first, and second. These are resources that the students are going to be using in the future Google Classrooms. And so between 8 and 3, you can pick up these resources at the school. Our building successes are just as I have already stated. We were so excited about today's rollout of our synchronous learning environment. And the reason why this was so successful is because of the partnership we have with our parents. Our parents are doing an amazing job helping us to provide for them a connection between the school and the home. So again, I thank you parents for that. We had a increase by, I don't have all the data with me at this point because it was the first day, but the increase was monumental as far as the attendance we had at the Zoom meetings. And like I said, I talked to everyone, the teachers before they left today, and they all said that the students were focused, they were engaged, and they were very well behaved. So I thank you parents for going over the guidelines to make it very effective. I also want to tell you that we are very excited. The other building success right now we're very excited about is going to happen on December 9th. And that is our virtual literacy workshop that School-Wide Title Committee has put together. I promise you the buildings K through 8, all the teachers and the administrators and Mrs. Brinker have worked very hard to provide this great evening for you. So I hope you enjoy it, and thank you again for your partnership.
Okay, I was muted. I apologize. Julianne, did you text me? Dr. Gratz, I was asking, are there any more seats for the virtual learning literacy night available that we know of?
I do not know if there's any seats because we purchased resources based on
Okay.
the people that reserved a spot.
Okay, and the pickup has happened. Okay, all right. Thank you with that. So, and again, thanks for all that you have done here with your leadership and moving through more of a synchronous approach. And we'll continue to monitor our successes and how to enhance our deliveries. Okay, we're going to move on now to Mrs. Ware, Girard Intermediate Principal.
Hi, everyone. So we also, like Dr. Gratz and Prospect, have spent the last couple weeks really trying to get ready to be able to move and start blending synchronous with asynchronous. We know that a lot of our families need that flexibility and have asked for the flexibility of the asynchronous, but we've also had a lot of families who have really asked for some more synchronous components to be embedded into our curriculum, getting our students to be able to engage in that two-way communication that Mr. O'Hara talked about is really important for the kids, for their mental health, and for their learning. So adding in our synchronous Zoom schedule has been really important for us in the last week. So starting today as well, we're looking at having a more consistent synchronous schedule. So another thing that we talked a lot with families is about having that consistent piece in there. So, you know, instead of having students having their Zoom schedules depending on what day of the week with what teacher, instead now it's very consistent across the board. So for example, 4th grade is Zooming with their teachers every single day at 9 o'clock. As a parent, and I have a 4th grader myself, as a parent, I don't always know exactly what teacher my child's sitting down with to Zoom because I'm at work. So I know for sure what time she's supposed to be on Zoom, and I know she's on Zoom every single day at that time. Just for parents to be able to help with families and to be able to say consistently across the board that the student's going to be Zooming at a certain time every single day or throughout the week is really helpful. So that's what we started embedding and trying to be able to make sure that the students have the opportunity to see a mixture of their teachers throughout the week so that they can kind of rotate back, have a chance to be able to ask really pointed and specific questions later on in the week of maybe something that they missed earlier in the week. We also are filming all of our Zooms. So that way the students still have access to all of the curriculum, everything that was talked about inside of those Zooms, so that they can access those later. That is except for the SEL. So for social emotional learning, those components that really are needed for all of the students to be able to engage in, those videos and those lessons and things will be loaded into Google Classroom, but the Zoom itself is not going to be filmed, only because there's a lot of conversations that happen amongst the students and with our counselors. So really wanting to make sure that the privacy is there. So our students and our Zooms for SEL is not going to be filmed and put into Google Classroom, but the lessons themselves are going to be filmed. But really following and looking through this schedule will be helpful for parents to be able to see exactly how those Zoom sessions are going to be with that synchronous component. The other thing that GIS has added is really sparking from junior high and senior high and some of the pieces that we've taken from our e-learners. So again, this is really very specific to our distance learning, but our e-learners have been really successful with office hours. And so we wanted to take that component and bring that into our distance learners as well. So every day our students have the opportunity and the availability with their teachers to be able to Zoom from 2 o'clock until 3 o'clock. So that way they can have, again, that two-way conversations. They can go in and ask really pointed questions if their teachers explain something earlier in the week or even earlier in that day, so they can hop back on and ask them questions. So for us, some of our important dates, we also have the literacy night that's coming up on Wednesday. And thank you for huge thanks to all of the people who have helped. We have a lot of teachers who have put some really interesting components into Google Classroom, some really engaging things for our students. And we have some art teachers or an art teacher who's really loaded a lot of components in there for our students. So thank you for those teachers who have done all of those things for a literacy night. We also have material pickup that's happening this week. So we started again today with our 4th grade. Tomorrow will be our 5th grade, and Wednesday is 6th grade, and for makeup sessions that go into the evening. So we'll be at the school until 6 o'clock on Wednesday to be able to get any materials. And those materials include any type of consumables that they have for workbooks, for their math workbooks, any novels that they're picking up for their ELA classes, all of the pictures. So if your student came and got pictures, around a month ago or so, those pictures are all in. And we also have interims that are being sent home all in that packet. PTO also dropped off a little snack and a little treat for the kids. So please make sure that you swing by some point in the next few days to be able to pick up your child's packet and all of their papers and all of their belongings that they need to be able to continue their learning in the next few weeks. Some students also have some books that either they've checked out from the library or they have from some other teachers. So there's some drop-off bins inside of the school so they can just drop those books off as soon as they enter into the building. If you need anything though from us, obviously we are here. We really want to be able to help in any way possible. So it was nice to be able to see a lot of faces, pop into the school, grab some materials and then pop back out. But it was good to be able to see some people and to have the time to be able to make sure that the kids are getting all of the resources they need while they're at home. So thank you.
Okay, Mrs. Ware, thank you very much for your update there and your leadership in your building. And I know you're in your initial year as a principal, but really keep up the great work. And I want to thank all of our administrators here. We collaborate on a daily basis. I know they get tired of my Zoom meetings, et cetera, but we share out daily as to progress that's being made in each building and any resources that could be shared or could be talked about in terms of implementation. So I want to give a shout out to the administrators and their administrative assistants or their secretaries that I know work hard each day to keep them in line. So, okay, thank you. At this time, do we have any questions in the chat?
We do have one question about Edgenuity students. And I'm assuming that this goes for any of the Edgenuity students from 6 through 8 that is really asking about following current times or Zooms. And so I know I can speak for the 6th graders for the Edgenuity. Those 6th grade students are really, this is very asynchronous. However, we do have our office hours at GIS for a 6th grade Edgenuity student. So the students are able to pop in during those office hours, and we have 2 hours a day that are set for office hours from 10 o'clock until 11 o'clock, and then from 1 o'clock until 2 o'clock. And that's not necessarily on that screen, Mr. O'Hara.
Okay, those are different office hours than what we have.
Yeah, those are for our those are specifically for Edgenuity for our e-learners, and those are through with Mr. Sandy. But I'm not sure, Ms. Santangelo and Mr. Caputo, what that looks like over in your building. So I'm sure that they will address that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. And moving along to Mrs. Santangelo, principal at our junior high school.
Hi, Girard families. Happy holidays. I will continue speaking to our e-learners first, specifically our Edgenuity students. Again, if you are looking to Zoom, we have 4 junior high school teachers that are assigned to our e-learners, and you can set up a time to Zoom with them anytime on Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, or in the afternoons, late afternoons at 1:30 or later on Wednesday and Thursday. So there's a lot of flexibility there, again, in that full asynchronous model. Moving on to the changes in our junior high school curriculum. Actually, Mr. O'Hara, will you go
I'm
back?
sorry.
Okay. Addressing our Google Classroom hybrid learners. Okay. We are excited because we actually have a week of synchronous learning under our belt. We went live on Wednesday and Thursday of last week, and we will continue those Wednesdays and Thursdays into January, and then we will evaluate and see where we're going from there. As you can see from that chart, we have 3 days of remote learning via our Google Classroom, and then we have 2 days of our synchronous learning via Zoom, via our live Zoom. And if Mr. O'Hara, you could advance to the next slide, I will show you basically what our students are following. They are taking a look at their individual course schedules, and they have their core academics periods 1 through 6. And our students have already done this with a lot of parent support. We had a lot of calls, and it's a lot because our students have actually not followed their course schedule in order yet. They've been able to follow it however they saw fit and go into the Google Classrooms in the order they wanted. So we worked out a lot of kinks, but essentially our students follow those core academic classes in the first 6 periods of our day. Math and English are blocked, so they actually have double time. And our teachers are teaching live. And I have to say that with a week under our belt, I want to highlight 3 things that I saw as a building principal and our teachers were excited about in live Zoom. And one of those things was an actual live science lab on permeability within our 7th grade, where the teacher was actually Zooming and the students were charting the lab results. Another thing I want to highlight, our math department was using an interactive whiteboard where students were individually working out problems and the teacher was able to see their work. And then finally, one of my other math department teachers had their students doing a live review for the first 30 minutes of class. And then they went offline with her and took their quiz. Those quiz scores were up 10% from the week prior with just one day of live Zoom. So we are excited. We're abuzz about it. The teachers are asking, when can I have more time? But with anything new, we're treading lightly and we're working out those kinks, but we're overall so thrilled. I again want to thank our parents because it was a collaboration between our teachers, our administrators, our parents, and our students. And we've had a lot of success. So Mr. O'Hara, if you want to click to the next slide, I can highlight those student expectations that were rolled out last week. We do expect our students to be on their live Zoom classes, but I want to say to our families that if there is a conflict of any kind or an illness of any kind, that you would just report off similar to the fashion of reporting your child off when we were in person so that we know where they are and what they need. And I will echo with the other principals that these Zoom recordings will be posted within Google Classroom so that students in those situations will have access to them at any time. Camera use is optional for us. We ask students to use their name when they log in so we know that it's them and we can take attendance. We have them enter muted as we do in this kind of a meeting. and we follow our code of conduct. If there's any additional information that you all would like, there's a video explanation as well as a presentation linked here, and that'll be on our school site, but it was also sent out to everybody already. So if you want to watch it again, go ahead and click those links. Otherwise, we are so thrilled and we are so happy with the results. We're looking forward to adding more time, and we're working on a schedule for that. So thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Santangelo, and we appreciate always your enthusiasm for the educational process. As I mentioned to you before, it's contagious, and I do want to emphasize that there's a lot of work behind all of this in terms of progress over the months and building a solid foundation with Google Classroom and resources, etc. So again, we appreciate your leadership and your collaboration with our district and our community. Okay, so moving on. Any questions currently with the chat? Any additional questions out there that we know of?
Nothing additional at this time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caputo. That being said, Mr. Caputo, the stage is yours.
All right. Yes. Before I highlight kind of the changes in our curriculum here, I'm going to speak for both Mrs. Santangelo and myself with a couple of reminders and dates for the 712 building. The first one is specific to the high school, but the other two are 712. The first one deals with the registration for Trumbull County Career and Technical Center. There was a message sent out to the parents of sophomores earlier today via text alert with a link to some information that Mrs. Cochran put together about the TCTC program. She also emailed all of that to sophomore students and posted it in the class of 2023 Google Classroom. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, the Career and Technical Center cannot have their in-person open house and orientation like they normally do. So they are hosting a virtual open house this Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Again, the links to the virtual open house to register for all of that can be found in the text alert that I sent parents earlier today and in the information that Mrs. Cochran sent to students earlier. The priority registration deadline is Friday, January 15th. So if you know your sophomore wants to be at TCTC and one of the outstanding programs that they have out there, we need to, the clock is ticking in terms of registering. You have until January 15th there. If you have any questions regarding the TCTC programs, please reach out to Mrs. Cochran. She always does a great job coordinating our efforts between Girard High School and between the TCTC. The second thing, this is for grades 7 through 11. Again, you'll get a text alert on this tomorrow, just as a reminder. But we will have the school picture pickup. I know Mrs. Ware and Dr. Gratz mentioned this earlier for their building. We will, our building will be open essentially all day this Friday, the 11th, and then next Monday, the 14th. We will have Mrs. Sirocco, who coordinates our yearbook, will be set up in the gymnasium entrance pretty much all day from 9:30 to 3:30, so that you can, at your convenience, pick up our school pictures. And then the last thing to keep in mind is that the end of semester 1 is Friday, January 22nd. That is for both e-learners, the Edgenuity students, and our Google Classroom hybrid learning students. I've had a lot of questions about final exams for these classes. If you are an Edgenuity student, the all exams at the high school level, all the exams are added together into one grade. So it isn't like a typical high school class where the final exam is a particular part of the grade. It's just part of your grade for the overall class. As far as the hybrid students, yes, you will have final exams. We're giving teachers the freedom to kind of play with what the final exam looks like. In some classes, they may have a an exam like they normally do, and other classes might be project-based. As we get closer to the end of the semester, your teachers will be able to communicate what those are going to look like exactly. Like, if you want to go ahead to the next slide, Mr. Harry. All right, so that being said, with some of the changes that have gone on, and the high school is going to look a little bit different than the other buildings do for a number of different reasons. The way that students receive high school credit, the nature of some of our classes, especially some of our advanced classes, college credit plus, some of the engineering, some of the advanced science. By its very nature, it's going to look a little bit different than our K-8 does. Please understand that when we made the decisions about of how we've changed from an asynchronous to a more synchronous model, we took a lot of feedback from parents, students, and teachers in terms of what was working, because we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but also what we can improve upon. We really landed on 3 things that we needed to alter or implement. The first one was obviously more synchronous learning, more two-way communication and direct instruction in Zooms. That has been going on a little bit in patches in some of our advanced science classes and some of our advanced math classes and some of our college credit English classes. Obviously, we're trying to expand that now. The second thing was we wanted to focus a little bit more on our core classes. By core classes, what we mean is our core English, math, science, social studies, and foreign language classes. Our elective teachers offered to kind of take a step back in the Zoom meetings so that we could increase the Zoom meetings in our core classes. And then the third thing and the most important thing, and this came from students and teachers alike, teachers were very adamant that whatever we do to change the Zoom schedule, we have to make sure that we keep time for one-on-one and small group Zoom meetings. Students really kind of enforced that. Some of our kids who are struggling the most, and some of our kids who are, some of our highest achieving students, kids in the running for valedictorian, et cetera, all kind of agreed that there's a lot of bang for the buck in those one-on-one Zoom meetings that happen during the office hours every day from 1:45 to 2:35. So that being said, we took all of that into consideration and really came up with this type of schedule, which again looks a little bit different than the other classes, like the other buildings, simply because, again, of the nature of what we were working with. Monday, we have a focus on any class that is college credit plus. We offer 14 different college credit plus classes. So those are all meeting in Zooms on Monday with direct instruction. To my understanding, that's been going very well so far. And also, if the teachers who do not teach college credit plus classes and the students who are not in a college credit class at the time have the opportunity to one-on-one Zoom all day with teachers on Monday. Tuesday is dedicated to the core classes. Again, those are our block, our semester block classes. Those are classes that take 2 periods in math, science, social studies, ELA, and foreign language. Again, in trying to keep with the normal routine, our previous Zoom schedule of periods 1, 2, 5, 6 on one day and periods 3, 4, 7, 8 on the other day remain on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we have the entire day on Friday for our one-on-one and small group Zoom sessions. Okay. You can go ahead to the next slide, Mr. Harris. All right, so what exactly does that look like? As you'll see, our windows are a little bit bigger, again, because of the nature of our classes. So on Monday, if you have if our students have a CCP class, they follow the period of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We have no CCP classes 7th and 8th period. So obviously those periods were left off. If you see Tuesday and Thursday in that second chart, on Tuesday, they follow that block schedule in hour increments. We left off 11:30 to 12 for students to eat lunch. But Tuesday they have, again, their block core classes. Again, if you'll notice, kids aren't going to meet every single one of those classes because they don't have 4 block classes. But that is just a way for them to get additional work and emphasize those classes on that particular day. Again, the core classes are blocked math, ELA, social studies, science, and foreign language classes. And then you see the the schedule that we have been using on the Wednesday and Thursday. You don't have to worry about taking a picture of this slide or anything like that. All of this information was emailed to students. It's available in just about every Google Classroom. And I've sent text alerts in a couple of different formats to parents regarding these. One in a Google Doc, one in a brief video presentation, and then one in a slideshow. And again, all of those are available there. If you want to go to the next. So Mr. Caputo, what does this look like? This is a sample schedule that an advanced sophomore or junior may have at this time. Okay, so let's say that this is my class schedule. I have a block first and second period with biology 2. I would be Zooming with that class on Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, if we were to cross-reference back to the other slide, you would see that my block classes all my block classes meet on Tuesday, and my first and second period class meets on Wednesday. So again, I'm getting 2 Zoom meetings per week in that biology class. One thing that should also be stressed at this time is there are additional times on Monday and on Friday all throughout the day, and every single day from 1:45 to 2:35 to meet one-on-one or small group with teachers if I need to. So again, I would meet in that blocked first period biology class every Wednesday or every Tuesday and Wednesday. My third period art class would just Zoom once a week on Thursday. Again, this is an advanced student who's taken a college credit literature class, 4th period. So my CCP class, all my CCP classes meet on Monday, and then they would also meet on Thursday. My CCP ASL class, which would meet on Monday and Wednesday. My health class, which would meet on just Wednesday as far as the Zoom meetings go. And then my 7th and 8th period Algebra 2 class would Zoom every Tuesday and Thursday. Again, to kind of stress that they can meet any other time during the office hours. All right. And in addition to that, that's really not one day of instruction. It is still 5 days of instruction per Google Classroom. It is just the two-way and the synchronous communication that occurs on these days. So again, that is, we have, at the high school, we have 574 different kids and they have 574 different schedules. So for every single kid, it looks a little bit different, but this is an example of what one student's schedule would look like within the Zoom schedule within a given week. Okay. And Mr. O'Hara, that's what I have for you. Mr. O'Hara might be muted again.
I don't know why I'm struggling with that mute tonight, a long day. But again, thank you for your leadership at the high school building there. And Mr. Cardero, I know, is always there when needed each day and picking up any slack in terms of the building. It's a little bit of a different nature for that building in terms of the courses that are offering and the Zooms and the synchronous approach here. So I know each building has kind of a little different twist to it in terms as we move forward and blending our synchronous and asynchronous platforms. So again, thank you for your leadership, Mr. Caputo and Mr. Cardero. So I know there was a question in the chat there about when will we be back with kids 5 days a week, full class. I wish it were yesterday. Okay. And I know many of us want that. All of us want that. Currently we're on the remote learning through our Christmas break when it starts. We will communicate next week with a survey to our families in terms of choice and options going into the second semester. So we are prepared. Our buildings are ready to go in terms of safety and health, keeping the 6-foot distance. The CDC still has the 6-foot distance regulation for the safest approach for our students. And as you are well aware, the spread is going through many adults at this time and is impacting our current staff. So those will be the considerations as to when we get our students back into our classroom, and it is a priority. Now, 5 days a week with full go, there's concerns and considerations until some of those health measures or CDC recommends a different social distancing, etc. So that being said, I want to thank you all as a community for your support of our school system during these trying times. I want to extend on behalf of myself and the entire Girard leadership team best wishes for a happy holiday season.
Mr. Hare, I hate to interrupt. We did have one more question answer in the Zoom. At the high school, is there direct instruction during the Zoom meetings? Again, as I mentioned, that has happened in pockets previously in some of the advanced classes. We are moving in the direction of having every class do that. That started last week. Again, with the adjustment period, it was a little slow to get started in certain classrooms, but the short answer to that is now yes. There will be more direct instruction in every Zoom meeting, especially in the core classes moving forward.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Caputo. Any other questions out there in the chat?
That was it.
Okay.
No, Mr. Caputo, I think there is one more question over in YouTube land. So are the teachers supposed to be doing their Zooms during their scheduled time? Because many are still continuing to not have them during their scheduled time. So I'm not sure what building that's directed towards, but my goal and my understanding from across the buildings is that the teachers are working on moving that over and really following the new schedule that's being outlined per building. And so if you haven't seen that, perhaps in the last day or so, making sure that our Google Classrooms are really being followed, making sure that those Zoom schedules are being updated and they should be reflected in what it is that's happening inside of those classrooms. Right, Mr. Caputo, if
That's correct.
Mrs. Santangelo, okay.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Mrs. Ware, for addressing that question there. Do we finding any other questions out there? Okay, so that being said, again, we'll have a communication from my seat sometime next week related to some learning options for the second semester for the e-learners and the distance learners. And again, health measures and community spread will determine the safest options for the return of our students. And so that being said, again, on behalf of myself and the entire Girard City school system, we wish you a safe and healthy holiday season. So thank you.